Now, one of the amazing things about Android-based devices is just how simple it can be to create your own application. So as someone who has knocked up the odd script here or there, I thought, why not combine them into an easy-to-use app for your retro handhelds? So I've built my first ever Android application. Welcome to Mimir. Okay, so this isn't currently available as part of the RJNY pack for Obtainium. However, I have issued a pull request, but I'm still waiting for it to be approved. So no idea when that's going to happen. But for now, you can just come straight to this link on my GitHub, scroll down and grab the release, which at the moment is version 0.1.0. Tap your APK and then download it. And then once that's done, just give it an install. And then let's open up Mimir. So what is Mimir? Mimir is just a little toolkit. So there's 3 different tools currently. We have our zipper. So what this will do is it will scan through your ROMs folder and any games that are not zipped, but you could play them inside RetroArch, for example, as a zip folder, it will compress them for you automatically and save you a little bit of space. So just as an example, if I go to my Solid Explorer, so I've got some Game Boy Advance games there. You can see they are .gba files. I've got some Game Boy games here that are .gb files. Now these are only tiny games, but if you've got thousands of them, especially when it comes to systems like the DS, then they can eat up a ton of space. So what Mimir will do, if we launch the zipper, we're going to select our ROMs folder, and then we're just going to start. It's going to scan through. So these are the ones it's found. So it's going to tell you, I found this game and I'm going to convert it into a zip. So once you're okay with that, you just hit apply. And now it's going to do the zipping. Should only take a second. There we go. It has also backed it up. So if you ever make a mistake, you can undo it as well. So if we head back to Solid Explorer, you'll see those games are now zip files and the same for Game Boy Advance. So only a few just to demonstrate. But like I said, if you've got hundreds of Game Boy Advance games, you're going to notice some pretty significant space savings. Next up, we have our organizer. And this is, if you're like me, a big fan of the PlayStation 1, and you love your Final Fantasies, your Metal Gear Solids, any multi-disc games, you'll be aware of this issue. So this is NeoStation, which is my favorite front end at the moment. Full disclosure, I have contributed some development to this, and I am actively working on it alongside the lead developers, but there's a reason it's my favorite, and it being open source is one of them, and also it just being clean and efficient. So back to the organizer. So here's Final Fantasy 9. I've got 4 discs for that. Here's Final Fantasy 7, 3 discs for that. And it just looks really messy. And what you have to do is you have to create a playlist file and all this, and it's just how a lot of emulators handle them. It's a bit annoying. So rather than do this manually, if we go to our organizer, press browse, so we'll select our folder, which is here. So again, it's going to scan that same ROMs folder. Now, some front ends handle things a little bit differently. For example, ESDE puts them into a folder and it handles them as a file. Others, you just need the M3U playlist file and so on. So I've tested this on ESDE and NeoStation. I don't think you really need to do it for Cocoon, but I've left that as an option there anyway. Like I said, this is the first release, so any testing, any feedback is greatly appreciated. So I'm going to select NeoStation and then I'm going to do a start. So it always does a scan first, and then part of the scan it'll tell you it's detected 4 games. So there's Evil Dead, Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8. So that's all the ones I have in my PS1 folder. So then all we need to do is just hit apply. There we go. So back over in NeoStation, if I just rescan my library, and then I head back over, you can see that I've got 1 Evil Dead, I've got Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8. Easy as pie. So finally, we have our Vita shortcut generator. Now, I did try and get this to automate, so it would automatically grab all your installed Vita games and then create the shortcuts for them. However, due to Android file permissions, it wasn't that simple. So instead, I've made a compromise. I have basically loaded a database of these shortcuts directly inside the app, and then it will create the files for you. So if I head back to NeoStation, you can see that I don't have any PS Vita games because my PS Vita folder is empty. although I do have a Vita game installed on my Vita 3K. I've got Persona 4 Golden, and there's its ID, PCSE00120, which I believe is the USA version. We'll find out. So, if you want to get your Vita games inside your front end, and this works for any front end that handles Vita games, you can build your own shortcut. So we're going to select our output directory. You can see by default it should find your ROMs folder with PS Vita. And then you can just search your database. So you can search by the ID if you know the ID, or you can just search for the game. So we'll do person. We'll search for Persona. And then if we scroll down, you can see we've got all the Persona games in that database. We've got the Golden, and then we've got Golden. So it's that one, the Persona 4 Golden USA, it's the card version. So yeah, make sure the ID matches, and then just do quick add. And that's going to dump a shortcut file into your folder. If you make a mistake, you can just hit the little trash can, and it will delete it. So I'm just going to add that back again. I'm going to swipe up, and then I'm going to go straight back into NeoStation. I'm going to rescan my ROMs folder. And there it is, there's PS Vita. I'm going to open it up. There's Persona 4. I'm going to hit play. And there we are, we've booted straight into Persona 4. Much less hassle than making your own Vita shortcuts. And that was Mimir, my little Android emulation toolkit. If you like this video, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. Like I said, this is a brand new app, so please give it a try. If you have any bugs, please let me know on GitHub. You can just raise an issue. Or if you've got some ideas for some little tools and features which could be worth adding into Mimir, please, please, please let me know. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that lovely YouTube stuff that you cool kids do, and I'll see you next time.